poppin' B? Purpok here, and welcome back to another episode of Race the Ramen, the show where I attempt to review something unscripted in the amount of time it takes to boil an instant ramen. And today we'll be taking a look at The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, available now on DVD and Blu-ray. And we're going to start the timer right now. Okay, so The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. Our first stop on Hosoda-Thon. Hosoda-Thon, sorry, I don't know if I get his name right. This is the first original film directed by anime director Mamoru Hosoda, and it's an interesting one to talk about because he had not quite gotten into writing the scripts for his projects yet. And this is actually a sequel/adaptation of a novel that is apparently a quintessential piece of Japanese science fiction. It is a time travel story about a young girl named Makoto who ends up inexplicably gaining the ability to leap backwards through time at will. So she starts using it irresponsibly and begins to see the consequences of her actions unfold in front of her. And it's a sort of exploration of the personal relationships that she has in her life and what young people think of time and stuff like that, and how their lives are passing by, and how it seems like these slow, sleepy days will last forever. We'll always be with our friends. It plays with a lot of sentimental themes like that. It's a film about being young and the passage of time and love, so there's going to be some stuff like that. It also is a prime example of a common theme among pretty much every film that Hosoda has directed, is this juxtaposition of supernatural or sci-fi elements that are like pretty fantastical, like the time travel in this, or the wolf children in Wolf Children, or the world of beasts in Boy and the Beast, stuff like that, and then juxtaposing it with this very grounded human drama, which is where the majority of the film's actual like story conflict and your character content comes from, where the real meat of the whole thing is. And I'd say it's pretty solid. It's an interesting script that goes places you might not expect for either a time travel story, especially not a young adult romance, which is essentially what this is. If you're not on board with that aspect, I could see this not really being something that you'll enjoy. But as a piece of sci-fi, it's pretty decent. And if you can put yourself into that sort of sappy, sentimental sort of the last summer we spent together with our best friends sort of mentality, you might end up becoming invested in the romance by the end. That sort of becomes the focus of the second half more so than the time travel. And yeah, it's an interesting film, and while it's not perfect, I think it's one of my lesser favorite films of his. It's a really good first foot forward, and I can highly recommend you check it out if you want to get a feel for what his stuff is like, or if you just want a good time travel romance story. It's pretty decent. Hopefully that gave you a decent impression of what I think of the film. It's kind of hard to... I've been over this many times, but it is hard in Race the Ramen to go into deep analysis when I only have 3 minutes and I don't script anything. But I feel like even as one of his lesser films, in my opinion, this is still a pretty good movie. And it has a lot of, possible interpretive stuff in it that you could extrapolate a lot of enjoyment out of. Little subtleties to appreciate about character expression and how things are set up in the plot. You definitely get benefit from more than one viewing. This was my second time seeing it, actually, after not having seen it for a long time, maybe like 5-6 years ago. And there was stuff I put together based on what I remembered from the first watch, and then gained a greater appreciation for certain aspects of the story watching it again. So it has that going for it, and yeah, it's a pretty solid movie that leads to a career for a great director that leads to even greater movies. And it was a sort of a success story in Japan too, like people writing letters to the theater like, keep showing this movie, we love this movie. And then the rest is history. But now I'm rambling, as I always do. It's practically my trademark ability. It's my quirk, I guess. But giving it a score for The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. Again, great first foot forward for Hosoda in directing original work. Before this, he had his hands on the Digimon movie and a One Piece film that neither of which I've really had much interest in and haven't seen. But, yeah, this is where you want to start if you're interested in his original stuff. And if you like the first taste, it only gets better from here. Hosoda-Thon 2021 is going strong, and we aren't stopping here.